host that we call bare metal host, physical host. For that, we learn how we interconnect the routed domain L3 out, right? This is we done the L3 out, right, yesterday. Now today we are going to discuss another integration. Let's say leaf 101 now connected with the EXXI, right? EXXI. So that means the virtualized environment. Within the EXXI, we are having VM, right? Let's say VM1 and the VM2, right? So now my requirement is how I manage this VM using the APIC, right? So very simply, that integration we called VMM integration, right? So let's say now this is why EXXI. Within the EXXI, I have virtual machine 1 and the virtual machine 2, right? So virtual machine 1 is web, the second one is app. That's running two different applications. Then leaf 101 connected with the EXXI. Let's say the port number is 5. Port number 5 with the EXXI like this. Then with the when we are connecting EXXI, within the server there is a virtual there is a network interface card, right? Let's say this is VNIC 1. VNIC 1 connect with the leaf. And leaf connect with the spine. Then that has another leaf 101. Then leaf 102. Leaf 102 having bare metal host directly connected with that with the port number 5. Then another virtual machine connected with the port number 6. Now the thing is, let's say this this BMH, bare metal host, related to the EPG app. This virtual machine related to the EPG web. Those are related to the two EPG. Then you know this bare metal host physical server cannot communicate with the VM. This VM. Why is that? Those are with the two different EPGs, so contract is required. I think that is clear with you. Now let's consider this part, right? So this is EXXI host. Then within the EXXI host, you know there is a virtual switch, right? Then that virtual switch connected with the VNIC 1 as the uplink, then that connecting these two virtual machine. Virtual switch connecting these two virtual machine, right? So let's say this virtual machine IP address is 10.0.0.100. This is 10.0.0.200. 100, 200 with the same network. These are the two virtual machine, right? Now let's say when BMH communicate with virtual machine, that means this VM, right? That traffic, that communication can manage with APIC, right? So the idea is when this bare metal host or the server, when it's communicating with the virtual machine, this virtual machine, that traffic can be controlled by the APIC. Why it is possible? Because in that case, this is the traffic path. Traffic going to the leaf, then going out to this interface, right? Because that traffic coming to the ACI fabric. The point is that traffic coming to the ACI fabric, so I can manage it. No problem. I think that point is clear with you, right? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now my question is, okay. My question is, when VM1 communicate with the VM2, right? My first question, is that traffic coming to the ACI fabric? My question, when the VM1 communicate with the VM2 in this communication, my question is this yellow color traffic coming to the ACI fabric or not?
No, it's not.
Not, because it is internal switch with the V switch, right?
Yeah.
That means these two virtual machine communication I cannot control with the EPIC. That's a problem. That's a problem. Coming to the leaf 101, then no problem, I can manage. Right? So the thing is, now let's say I cannot add this VM1 into the web EPG. Let's say anyhow I have added this VM1 into the web EPG, then VM2 into the app EPG. But still those two guys can communicate each other because that is internal switching via the V switch, right? ACI policy not going to apply because this is another vendor, right? That's a problem. So what is the solution for that? The solution need to do integration, right? We need to do integration. What we are going to integrate, this is VMware, this is ACI. So I need to integrate these two. That means this virtual domain I need to integrate with the ACI. That is we called VMM integration. Right? That is we called VMM integration. VMM integration means we are going to connect that VMware environment into the ACI fabric. After you do the VMware integration, VMM integration, then from the ACI fabric, we can manage this switch. We can manage this switch, right? We can apply the policy, right? So for that, right? So are you familiar with the VMware technology? I think you have experience, right, with the VMware technology.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Then I
Okay,
can get
fine.
your help because I'm not very good in VMware, right? So, okay. Now, I will explain what I know, right? So, correct me if I'm wrong. With the VMware networking, right? By default, my EXSI having the standard switch. Standard switch. That virtual switch is standard switch, right? Then that is one type of switch. Then VMware having another switch called distributed switch. Distributed switch, right? So if you need to go with the distributed switch option, that option saying, okay, let's say this is the EXXI 1, this is the EXXI 2, this is the EXXI 3, right? That means there are 3 hosts here. Over 3 hosts, I can create one switch, right? VDS. That is we call distributed switch. But the thing is, to do that distributed switch configuration, we need vCenter. Am I correct? Or wrong?
That's right.
Right. So then within the VDS, we can create the port group. Port group 1, port group 2, port group 3, like that. So port group we can create, right? So these are the basic things, right? So remember, to do the VMM integration, we need vCenter. Without vCenter, we cannot do that, because in that case we are creating virtual distributed switch, VDS, right? So now I explain one by one, step by step, how this integration happen, right? How this integration happen. Let's say in my fabric I have spine 201 that connect with the leaf 101. Then I have leaf 102. Leaf 102 port number 17 connect with the virtual environment, right? So that means we have the vCenter, right, in here, EXXI environment. So now how we start the integration, right? How we start the integration? Step number 1. Step number 1. We need VLAN pool. We need VLAN pool to assign the IP address for the VMs, right? Let's say I have VM1, VM2, right? And the VM3 in this environment. To assign this VM to the specific VLAN, we need VLAN pool. In that case, in this lab, we need to use the dynamic assignment. Previously, we used the static assignment. So we need to create the VLAN pool with the dynamic option. Step number 2, that's the important step, right? So we need to create VMM domain. We need to create the VMM domain, right? So the thing is, when we are creating VMM domain, right? VMM domain need to provide vCenter credential, right? We need to provide what? vCenter credential for APIC, right? That means this is vCenter administrator credential we need to provide with the step number 2. Remember, with the step number 2, what happened is, when we given the, after you giving the proper credential and all the information, right? After the step number 2, it automatically create VDS, right? VDS creation happen with the step number 2. That's the integration, right? Then step number 3. Step number 3 is we need to create the AAEP as earlier. Step number 4, right? Then we need to create we need to do the previous things, right? That mean policy group, interface profile, right? Then switch profile. So normal process we need to follow. AAP, policy group, interface profile, switch profile. Then step number 5, right? after everything, what we need to do, so not only that, right? After that, we need to create the tenant, VRF, rich domain, application profile, EPG, right? Now in here, you created the EPG, right? Then we need to add endpoint into endpoint group. The next step is we need to add endpoint. We need to associate endpoint with the endpoint group, right? Then there is another thing happen. When you are doing that, it automatically create port group with EPG name. Let's say within the fabric, I am having web EPG and the app EPG. So when you do the step number 5, when you are integrating, what happen? It's within the VDS, it's create port group called app and another port group called web, polar port group, right? So those things happen, right? So at the same time, right, in this integration, we need to do another thing. We need to add host into DVS, right? For the DVS, we need to add the physical host, right? Then physical host actually having the virtual machine. When we are integrating, it's automatically create the port group. So that means to create the VDS, to create the port group, we are not going to the vCenter. Everything handled by the ACI fabric. Everything handled by the ACI fabric. So I think this will be very easy practical for you because you are familiar with the vCenter and the VMware integration. One moment. Okay. Okay, what I'm going to do, I need to restore this first. Oh no, all the backup going. Right, in our EXXI server, we are having a set of virtual machine, right? Then we can try to integrate some virtual machine into the specific EPG. So the first thing, what I need to do, I need to go to the fabric policy, and we need to create the access policy and the pool, right? Pool, VLAN pool. So I'm creating new VLAN pool called VMM pool Milan, right? Dynamic allocation. Let's say I'm saying 1 to 300. So I created the VLAN pool, right? So normally, right, where we create the domain under this section, right? Physical and external domain. From here we are creating that physical and external domain. But the thing is, in here the physical domain is there, layer 2 out is there, extended router, that means L3 out there, we practiced that yesterday. Fiber channel domain is there, but the thing is, you cannot find anything related to the VMM, right? Remember, VMM domain we are creating inside the virtual network. That is one point, right? Remember, in here we are creating the VMM domain, right? So normally we learned there are 5 type of domain, right? Then 4 types available with the under the fabric policy, access policy in here. 4 types available, all the 4 types, but the last one VMM domain available in virtual networking, right? So now what I'm going to do, again I'm going to the fabric. I just created the VLAN pool, that's it. Then I'm going to create the profile, right? So I directly go to the switch profile in our network. My EXXI host connected to the port number 17, right? I will draw that. This information is needed. In our integration, in our lab setup, leaf 102, port number 17, connect with the server. So server vNIC 1, connect with the port number 17, right? So that is our setup. So what I need to do, I need to go to the switch profile, leaf switch profile, right? I'm creating new leaf profile, right? New leaf profile, and giving name leaf 101. Sorry, 102 VMM. Whatever the name you can use. Sorry, in here I need to select which node, that is 102. Leaf 102. Update. Next. Okay, it asking what is the interface selector. In here I'm not having proper interface selector, so I can create it here, right? So interface 17, let's say that is my name, then interface selector saying okay, port 17, right? Interface ID 1/17, right? Then it asking okay, interface policy group, right? Interface policy group. I not created that, but I can create it from here. Leave access port policy group, right? I'm starting with the switch profile. That's why I mentioned we can do those things with a different way. So let's say leave 102 VMM policy group, right? So I'm selecting policy called CDP on. I have previously created policy called CDP on. Also, I'm using the LLDP policy, the default policy. Default policy saying, okay, LLB should be on. Then in here, I need to attach AAEP, right? So I'm creating AAEP for, called VMM, right? Then in here, I need to define the domain, still not having that. Submit. Okay. Submit. And in here, I need to select the interface 17. Validation failed, not overlapping interface. Because previously using the same interface, I created the profile called interface profile. Anyway, I attached that. So after that, I will delete everything, right? So now that part is over, right? That part is over. So now I am going to the VMware part, right? Virtual networking, VMware. The first one, create vCenter domain. You can give any name. This is the name for the virtual switch. So I'm giving the name vCenter VMM1. That is my switch name, vCenter VMM1. Then I'm using the distributed switch. AAEP I have created. Attach that. Then I need to select the VLAN pool. vCenter, sorry, VLAN pool Milan, right? Then in here, I need to do another important thing. That is, I need to give vCenter credential plus, right? We can say vCenter cred, right? For the vCenter, I need to give the username and the password, right? Those things with the one document, right? This is the username. That running on the IP 10.122 vCenter. Then the password is Cisco at 123. Cisco at 123. Cisco at 123. Okay. Then I need to add the vCenter, right? Then the vCenter controller name, vCenter 1, IP 192.168.10.122, right? Then the data center name is DC2KSPL, this one. Right? Then the credential file we created. Okay. Then I need to enable the LLDP. Nothing else. Submit. Right? If it is proper, then it will show the vCenter 1. So now integration is fine. This is the actual host. that having two network card. In here, I will explain the usage of the two network cards. So in our network, VNIC 1 for the management, VNIC, VNIC 0 is the management, VNIC 1 used as the uplink. That is important, right? You need to know the setup, right? So then integration is done, right? Integration is done. Now, currently, there are no port group here. I can see all the VMs and everything, right? See, all the VMs and everything is here, right? I think when you're, because you're working, you're familiar with that. Now, see, I'm seeing everything with the APIC, right? Not with the VMware. So integration is done. There are many VMs here, right? Then, now when I go to the vSphere networking, can you see? This is the VDS. VDS automatically created after I create the, see my steps. Step number 2, create the VMM domain, need to provide the vCenter credential. At that time, it's automatically creating the what? VDS. It's done. See, it's done. vCenter VMM, that's the virtual VDS name that I created. Now what I need to do? After everything, what I need to do? I need to say, okay, one moment. I need to go to the vCenter VMM, right click, right, add and manage host, right? So for this VMM domain, I am going to add the real host, that is the 1-to-1, that the EXXI. I'm going to option code add host. This one, 1-to-1, that's our EXXI server. Connected. Next. So I have question about the VMware, right? Can we connect same host to the different VDS? It is possible. Hello? I mean, can I connect this 1-to-1 host into the different VDS? It is possible or not? My question is, when three of you doing the practical, then you are creating three vCenter VDS, right? Then you need to include same machine, right? Thank you. Then it asks physical adapter information, right? So I'm assigning VNIC 1, VMNIC 1 as the uplink. Uplink mean it's saying VNIC 1 now, VMNIC 1 now connecting to the LIF 17 port, right? Uplink. In this step, right? Let's say I have, okay. Before that, I need to do another thing with the APIC. Cancel that process. Forgot to do that. What is that? I need to create, I think I already have some in this tenant. I'm creating another application EPG. Let's say that is EPG1. Finish. Right? So I can select whatever the virtual machine from here. Right? So now still my vCenter DVS not having any port group, right? Now these are the virtual machine within the host. Now I'm going to assign this, let's say, app virtual machine into the port group, assign to port group. It's not updated with the, say, thing is the port group should be created automatically. It is not happening. What's a mistake? So to assign that, it should be show all the I did any mistake with the integration part. There is no, it seems no connectivity in between tenant and the application fabric policy. One moment. Okay. So in here, sorry, I did mistake, right? One moment. The thing is, I need to go to the EPG, right? So this is my EPG. Then I need to select. So this part I missed, right? Within the tenant, right? Let's say I'm going to the EPG1. Then I need to do that. Add VMM domain association. Group, right? So I'm selecting my VMM domain profile, right? Then with the default settings, nothing to change, right? Submit. I integrate EPG1 with the VMM domain. Now when I go there, can you see tenant 1, application profile 1, EPG1. This is port group created. Like that, I'm going to the second EPG, add VMM domain association. Select the domain again, submit. This is the third one, right? Add VMM domain association, select the VMM domain that I create, submit. So that's the step number
Can
5.
they repeat again?
Hello?
Thank you, Mr. Can they repeat that last step? EPG2?
Ludwin, I'm not clear what you're asking.
Can they repeat that on EPG2? I didn't get it right.
So in here, I integrate this EPG with the VMM domain, right? After that, what happened? It automatically create the port group, right? Now what can I do is I can add host into the VMM domain. So I'm adding the host, this one. Okay. Next, I'm selecting vnic1 as the sign up link. Next. Now I can see all the VMs, right? Let's say this is app VM. I need to assign app VM to the port group. Now port group created, right? So I am assigning app VM into the EPG app, right? Also I am assigning web VM into the EPG web. Like that I can associate this VM into the EPG, into the port group. Port group mean what? It's the EPG connectivity. Now finish. Now when you go to the port group called app, then you can see when you go to the host, app VM within the app EPG. Web, within the web port group, you can see the web VM like that. So now we integrated the app VM and the web VM. That means this, let's say VM1 is the app1, VM2 is the web1. Those things we assign to the specific port group. Port group mean what? It is the EPG representation. Now what you can do, right? You can apply contract and allow the communication in between app VM and the web VM if you need, right? We can do all the normal things as earlier. So this is the VMM integration one, right? So I will share the credential for that. Then you can try yourself. So these are the required credentials. This is the vSent IP. This is the password. So what you can try, what you need to do. There are very few steps, right? Not a big deal, right? You need to create vCenter, go to the virtual networking, then create the VMM integration, then provide the credential and the vCenter information, right? Other everything is normal, right? As earlier, you need to create the policy group that should include the policy for the CDP, like that. For that, for the very first steps, I have lab guide. One moment, I will upload that. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute, I will upload. My files. Now VMM integration is there. Use this lab. Yes, Nick. Okay, okay. I will copy and paste it again. Can you see it now? With the chat, I have shared the link again. Okay, great. So now I'm going to discuss about the layer 4 to layer 7 integration. Right? Layer 4 to layer 7 integration. So in here, what are the layer 4 to layer 7 integration? That mean, so I will mute this one. Okay. So that mean layer 4 to layer 7 integration mean in here we are learning how we integrate, how to connect firewall and load balancers, right? For that, actually, there are no practical, no labs, but I will show what are the steps, right? How to connect firewall and the load balancer. In here, I will show how to integrate the firewall or the load balancer, right? So in here, let's
Would the same
discuss.
thing apply for other layer 4 to layer 7 appliances?
Hello, Ludwin.
Would the same principle that you're going to describe apply for other layer 4 to 7 appliances?
Yes. So that means we are discussing how we integrate any other layer 4, layer 7 appliances to the ACI fabric. Normally, we are having firewall, right? So that's why I'm taking that example, right?
Okay,
So,
fine. Yeah, cool.
so in here, so when we go to the firewall, right? So what's the purpose of this firewall? Let's say in here, one moment, I need to draw the logical diagram, right? So logically, in our VRF, we are having the bridge domain. Within the bridge domain, we are having application profile. Under that, we are having, let's say, EPG1, EPG2, like that. We are having EPG. Then we can apply in between EPG, we can apply, contract, right? But with the contract, right? So we can do only the layer 3 layer filtering only, layer 3 layer 4 filtering only with the contract, right? So let's say yesterday we discussed about external EPG that connecting to the router. Then we discuss about the EPG. So now let's say this firewall can apply in between two EPG, can apply in between two EPG, right? So with the contract, we are enabling the communication, but there are limited functionality. That means we cannot do any type of layer 7 filtering, right? Nothing. But with the firewall, it works with the layer 7, right? We can do the layer 7 filtering also in between two EPG, right? So in here, let's say we have 201, spine 201 and the leaf 101. Let's say leaf 10, leaf 102 connected with the VDS, right? Distributed switch, virtual distributed switch. So let's say that having EPG1 and EPG2. These are the port group, right? So what we can do is we can apply virtual firewall, virtual appliance, right? Virtual firewall in between these two. That is possible, right? So in here, concept wise, right? When we integrate firewall with the ACI fabric, we can integrate two type of firewall. One is physical firewall. The second one is virtual one. Virtual firewall. We can integrate physical firewall or the virtual firewall, right? So again, when we go to the firewall integration, there are two type of integration. With the normal networking, we are doing firewall integration with the transparent mode. Then we are integrating firewall with the routed mode. routed mode, right? So what's the difference in between these two? What is transparent mode? What is the routed mode? Transparent mode means layer 2 integration, right? That means that firewall no need IP. Routed mode means that is layer 3 integration, right? So these are the normal implementation within our network, right? Firewall implementation method, right? But in the ACI, this transparent mode we called go through. Routed mode we rename as go to. There are two modes, right? Two integration mode, go through and the go to. You can select, right? Then another concept, that is with ACI we can integrate firewall with two modes. One is managed mode, other one is unmanaged mode, right? So there are two type of firewall integration, physical, virtual. Then we can integrate that as the transparent mode or the routed mode. Then when we integrate that with the ACI, there are another two type of modes that we call managed mode and the unmanaged, right? The meaning of managed mode, right? So that mean management of firewall handled by ACI. That mean if you go, sorry, this is managed mode. Let's say this is unmanaged and this is managed, right? Right. With the managed mode integration with the ACI fabric, with the same console, we can manage our firewall, management of firewall handled by the ACI, right? But when we are going to the unmanaged mode, in that case, only the integration, right? The idea is ACI not going to manage firewall. That means with the ACI, we cannot manage the firewall, right? Then firewall management handled by your company security team, right? But in here with the managed mode, ACI team also can manage the firewall, right? So when we are integrating firewall, right, with the managed mode, some software packages required from the, let's say you are integrating Palo Alto, then the checkpoint, like that. When we are integrating third-party firewall, right, not the Cisco, third-party firewall, in that case need some packages, software packages needed, right? So that is again important point. When integrating third-party firewall like Checkpoint, Palo Alto, so forth, need software package. Need package from vendor, right? From the third-party vendor, we need to purchase kind of package, right? So how we add the firewall, right? How we add the firewall? So let's say I will show the step how we integrate the firewall with our tenant, right? In here, one moment. So I need to go to the my tenant, right? So within my tenant, I can go to the tenant 1, right? Within the tenant 1, right? So we discuss about the application profile. We are creating EBG under that, right? We discuss about the networking. We are creating VRF bridge domain under that. We discuss about the contract, right? Now we are going to discuss about the services, right? This is the way how we integrate layer 4 to 7 devices. So under the layer 4 to 7, right? So the first thing we need to create the device, right? Create device, create layer 4 to 7 device. That's the step number 1, right? So in here you need to give the device name. Let's say ASA1, right? Whether it is physical or the virtual, let's say that is virtual. And whether it is physical, it is, if it is virtual, then you need to define the virtual domain, VMM domain. If it is physical, then I need to define, okay, what is my physical domain? What is my physical domain, right? And there are two options, whether it is physical domain or the virtual domain. So let's say I'm selecting physical, and I need to select one of the physical domain, right? So I'm not thinking about the high availability HA, right? Single node only. Then I need to select the device package, right? Device package mean what? Based on the vendor, you need to download the device package. So in here I haven't that, right? So when I go to the virtual mode, right? Then I need to select my VMM domain, right? Again, I need to select my device package like that, whatever the way. Then you need to provide the credential here. That means that firewall credential you need to provide, right? Then next, then for the device, we can select the management IP and the management port, right? If you are using cluster, then you need to define the cluster information, right? So with this way, we can add our firewall, right? We can add our firewall to the fabric, right? So in here, I cannot provide this information, right? That's why. Then this is the point that I select the manage or the unmanaged, right? This is the point that I request the manage or the unmanaged. It is enable, that is manage mode. If you uncheck it, that is unmanaged. That is unmanaged, right? Then I remove the checkbox. Now it is unmanaged mode. Right? Let's say with the unmanaged mode, I can give only few information, whatever the physical domain, right? Then I can select the device interface with my device. In here, I'm not going to do that, right? So can you remember I mentioned there are two type of functionality. See, what is that? Transparent mode that we called go through, routed mode that we called go to, right? There are two modes with the normal firewall implementation. Then you can select, okay, go through or go to. Go through mean that is layer 2, go to mean layer 3, layer 2 and the layer 3. So layer 3, layer 2. This is the transparent mode. This is the routed mode. This is unmanaged. This is unmanaged, right? So then finish. Right? So I have added one physical firewall, but actually not real parameters, right? Only the simulation. Then how we integrate? Just create the firewall only. How we integrate, right? To integrate that, you need to go to the service graph, right? So I need to create the service graph template, right? In the firewall integration, step 1, create firewall. Step 2, service graph. How we integrate with the service graph, right? So this is the firewall that I selected. For the service graph, I need to assign name. Let's say service graph 1. Service graph 1. So then I can add the firewall, drag and drop the firewall, right? That I created previously. Now what I need to do, firewall integrated in between consumer and the provider, right? Then you can define who is the consumer, who is the provider, who is the consumer, who is the provider. Those information you can define, submit, right? So this is the service graph. In here there is a consumer, there is a provider. Then you can define who is that contract, consumer and the provider, right? So in that case, it's going to filter the traffic in between two EPG, right? Let's say so in here I need to create this contract also. Then you can attach that with the firewall, right? So that's the concept how we integrating, right? So what are the points that you need to remember? Go to the services under the layer 4, layer 7, go to the devices, then you need to integrate, you need to add the firewall, right? You need to add the firewall. This is the firewall device, right? So after that, for the integration, we need to create the service graph. right? Service graph applied in between, that means firewall applied in between two EPG, nothing else, right? So then we can define what is the consumer, what is the provider with the contract. Provider, right? Then we can use kind of filter like that. So I cannot do that implementation with this lab setup, right? But with the advanced course, sometimes you will learn some concept related to that, right? That is the layer 4 to layer 7 integration part. What you can do is basically you can go to the interface and try those things, right? Then when you go to the ACI management, right? So very first day we learn about the out of band management configuration. That means we are giving IP address for the management interface of the all the leaf and the spine, and we can connect those devices using the OOB network. That is one thing. So we done that part. Then we need to know about the backup option, right? So when you go to the backup option available with the admin tab, right? When you go to the admin tab, right, the backup option we call take snapshot, right? In here, very important thing. So the location APIC or remote, that can be APIC or the remote location, right? So let's say by default it's going to create backup with the APIC, right? That means when I click the create snapshot, it's quickly creating the snapshot. See, that's a snapshot, right? Then there is another option. Right? I can create the remote location. Right? If it is needed, I can create the remote location, right? So in here, we'll include that screenshot to this, right? If I select create remote location, what you can do? What you can do is you can select the remote location name, let's say FTP55, and the IP 192.168.10.106. Then for the backup, we can choose the protocol, backup protocol, right? So this is exam question, backup protocol, FTP, SCP, SFTP, right? So when you consider these three protocol, right? So you know these are secure. This guy FTP unsecure, right? Unsecure. Two secure protocol and one unsecure protocol support, right? FTP, SCP, and the SFTP. So sometimes in your exam question, it asks what is the way to back up the things, what's the protocol, but security is not required. Then you can select the FTP. If the security required, then we can use the SCP and the SFTP protocol, right? Then we need to provide, right? We need to provide credential for what? To connect with this server. This is FTP server. FTP server credential we need to provide here, right? So the username, let's say Cisco, and the password 123456, whatever the password. So in here what I am providing FTP credential, right? FTP credential. Then how we are sending traffic using the out of band network, right? So you can use that. Right, if you forgot, you can get that information from this screenshot, right? So submit, right? Then it will send that backup into that location. This is the way how we manage the backup, right? Then in here, there is another thing that mean we need to send. So we discuss about the OOB backup, and another major protocol is SSH. Sorry, syslog. Syslog. Syslog mean what? System login. We are sending all the system login related to this APIC into the centralized location, right? So that guy collecting all the syslog messages related to the fabric, right? Related to all the device, right? So for that, where we need to go for the syslog, right? Then there is an option called external data collector. External data collector, right? External data collector. When you go to the external data collector, right, from this location, right, we can configure the SNMP and the syslog both, right? Syslog mean system login message. System log messages, centralized location. What is SNMP? Simple Network Management Protocol. Server, we can push records, we can push the required information for that server. Then by analyzing that server, my administrator can get idea what is the performance level and everything about my fabric, right? So and syslog, right? Two different services, right? With the SNMP, you can measure, you can see performance. With the Windows, we are having performance monitor like that. But the syslog, it log all log messages. It's not saying about the performance. It's store all the logs related to the company. Syslog, let's say, if I need to check the CPU utilization of the APIC, I can check that with this SNMP. If I need to check the RAM utilization of the APIC server, I can check that with this SNMP protocol, right? It is checking the performance, right? Performance counters, right? There are two different services. So the thing is, those things we configure with this window, right? External data collector. So let's say what I need to do, let's say I'm going to configure the SNMP, right? Then I need to give SNMP group information, right? Let's say SNMP 1. Then I can give the SNMP server information 192.168.10.150 like that, and I need to define the SNMP version. There are three versions, 1, 2C and the 3. 2C is the recommended, 3 is secure version. Then community string, Cisco 123, it's a kind of password, and management EPG, right? So if you need the secure SNMP communication, this is the secure version, right? But this is the recommended because of the speed. So this is the way. So in your company, we are having that SNMP server. So you need to define the server IP, right? It uses the port number 162, then version, and you need to give this information. Then what happened? It collecting all the required information, right? So this is the way how we configure the SNMP, right? And for the syslog, same thing, need to do configuration for that. Right? For the syslog, again, what I need to do, I need to give my syslog server information. Syslog server information. What is the syslog server IP? Then you can give the name and what is the serverity level that I need to collect, right? For the syslog, this is the configuration, right? So this is for the syslog. Then we discuss syslog SNMP, right? The third one, the next configuration, that is AAA. What's a AAA mean? That is identity service, right? We can use the radius, right? Or the TACAS, right? So these are the identity services. First A mean authentication, then authorization and audit, right? Why it is required? Okay, let's say within the ACI fabric, right? Within APIC, right, can create local users, right? As our PC within the APIC, we can create the local users, right? Let's say I created user 1. Then we can assign role. That is we call RBAC. Role-based access control, right? We integrating user into the role. Role means set of privileges. Role means set of privileges, right? Then we have the user 1. If I need to give that set of privileges for the user 1, let's say this is role 1, then I'm attaching server user 1 with the role 1, that is RBAC, right? So this is for the this is example for the local users, right? In that case, you need to create user account manually, right? Within APIC, we can manually create the login account, user account. Then the second option is, right? This is manual configuration. Manual user account creation. That is one way. Then other way, right? Let's say in your company, we have Active Directory. In your company, we have AD. Within the AD, all the users are there. So when I'm logging to the APIC, I'm going to use that user database. That is we called AAA integration, right? radius server integration, LDAP integration, those things can be do, right? So in here, where I can do that using the AAA, right? Then with the AAA, let's say, if I going to integrate that with the Microsoft AD, then this is the solution, LDAP, right? If I integrate with the radius, this is the option. If I integrate with the TACAS, this is the option. Like that, there are many options, right? For the user management within the APIC, that is for the user management, right? From here. This is for the Windows AD authentication. Right? So you need to provide some parameter. Then, so that is AAA integration. Actually, in this case, right, in your company, in your environment, you should have the syslog, SNMP, then the AAA servers, everything should have, then only we can integrate, right? Otherwise, we cannot show how to integrate those things. Then the next one. That is firmware update, right? Firmware update. So let's say before that, right? I forgot to teach. If I need to create the local user account, right? For local user account, this is the section, right? In here, you can see predefined roles. These are the predefined roles, right? ACI, predefined role. So then, let's say if you select one of the user, then you can see what are the privileges having with that user. What are the privileges having with that user, right? These are the roles within your APIC. Right? Then how you create the local user account? It's very easy, right? In here, there are section called local user. Now we have only two local user, right? Admin and the A1, right? If you need to create new user, right click, create user. You can give the parameter, ID, username, password, those things, right? Let's say login ID, Milan, password. Right? Like that. So I'm assigning for all the tenant, right? Then I need to assign role, right? Role name, admin, role type, right? So update, right? I create just user count, and this is the role assignment, right? This is the role assignment. Finish. Password is not. Finish. So how I verify that, right? Password is saved, that's why it's coming. Otherwise, you can provide. Lookout. So I can log into the Fabric with that account. So this is local use account, right? Otherwise, we can go with the AAA servers. That also possible. Then the next section, that is the last one, the firmware update concept. Firmware update. Admin. Firmware. Right? So when you discuss about the firmware upgrade process, right? So firmware upgrade process of the ACI, right? So in here, we need to upgrade two things, right? We need to upgrade two things. What are those two things? The first one, that is APIC. We need to upgrade APIC firmware, right? And we have spine and leaf, right? So the major point is, right, when we are doing this upgrade, we need to verify with the Cisco site, right? So this APIC operating system and the spine and leaf operating system must be compatible. Right? So the thing is, for the spine and leaf, we have, so in here we need two firmware, right? Need two firmware, right? One is for the APIC, one is for the spine and the leaf, right? One is APIC, one is for the spine and leaf, right? So in that process, we need to verify whether you are going to update these two versions, right? Whether it is compatible. Okay. The step number one. Download from cisco.com. You need to download this firmware image from the Cisco site. In here, when you go to the images, there are two types of images. APIC image and what is other one? Spine leaf image. Spine and leaf image, right? So that means you need to download those two, right? Then step number two, upload that to repo within the ACI. Within the ACI, there is a location. For that, we need to upgrade that. You need to upload that. So you download to your PC. Now you need to copy and paste that into the ACI, right? ACI location, right? Then as the first step, right? After that, now we are going to the step 3. Step 3. First, upgrade APIC. Second, upgrade switches, right? Node. First, you need to upgrade the APIC, then you need to upgrade the node. So this is the recommended method, right? So when you go to the firmware upgrade, right? So in here you can see the fabric node. Fabric node means spine and leaf firmware, current firmware version and everything, right? That is one image. So right, then when you go to the controller firmware, in here, this is the APIC firmware. Right? And when you go to the firmware repository, you can see both firmware here, right? So what you need to do, after you download the image, you need to upload that into the storage, right? You need to upload that into the storage, then you can use it, right? So in here, there are some download tasks and those things. So in here, that is not compatible like that, right? So this is the way how we do the firmware upgrade, right? So that is the content for this section. There are no labs, but you can observe the things that I mentioned. You can just go and observe the things that I mentioned. But in your environment, you can do real practical, and you will learn some more stuff with the advanced course, right? With the advanced course, there are a lot of new concepts and a lot of stuff, right? So the thing is, now we can stop for the lunch break, right? After that, we need to we can discuss some exam question, and we can conclude the class, right? Within today, you can do any practical, but tomorrow we are going to reset this pod. That means after tomorrow, you cannot access this lab facility. But within today, you can do anything, because next week we are having another batch. Another batch mean I think it's same year batch, right? But before that, our team will reset entire pod. That means the EPIC. So you can do any practical within today without any issues, right? Sometimes tomorrow also can be available, right? So anyway, now I'm stopping for the lunch break. After that, we can connect, right? Are you okay, Nick?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, fine. We'll connect after 1 hour.
What is the afternoon?
Sorry?
Still covering in the afternoon.
Lodwin, I'm not clear. What you're asking?
What covering in the afternoon?
Yeah, after lunch, you have a small test again. That means MCQ type test, right? And we can right? We can discuss some question, because it is required to get the participation certification, right? We'll do that. Okay. Thank you.
So 1 hour?
Yes, 1 hour. 1 hour.
Okay.
Yes, Nick. Sorry, Nick, what you need? Epic. Okay. It's I firstly I shared that, so that is the username is admin. The password is wait. I will share. See? Yeah. But I log in with the Milan account, right? You can use the admin account. See? So you can type the username as the admin. Then it is previous one. I created new account only. That's it. Hello, Sam.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Milan.
Yes, Sam, you now joined, right? Okay, fine. Sam,
Very sorry,
actually,
I got some emergency call.
okay, fine, totally fine. Because I covered the concept related to the backup, how to set up the SNMP and the syslog. For that, actually, there are no labs, but I show the steps, those things. So that's the
Okay.
last part of the content. So now you can try these questions, right? I again share the link with the chat. There are 15 questions that is required to complete the course. Please try that.
Okay.
Right?
All right, thank you.
Welcome. Please update me when you finish, then I can mark.
Okay.
Yes. Wait. But still another two student. That mean one moment. I can see the answers from the Nick. Okay, your answer is there. But Lordwin and the Sam still doing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Nick, give me some more minutes. After they complete, I will mark everything, right, at the same time. Otherwise, I need to go 3 times to mark those things. Right? Okay.